Okay, let's try our hand at some Hardy-Weinberg problems and see if we can get any place. Here's the main formula and here's the lesser formula, and they tell us in a fruit fly population, the frequency of the recessive allele for short wings is 0.30. Now, they're talking about alleles here, which means this frequency they're giving us is just for the recessive allele Q. It's not flies that have the recessive trait. That would be up here. If they said the frequency of short wings, or the frequency of the short-winged genotype, or the frequency of flies with short wings, then we'd be talking about Q squared because we'd be talking about whole individuals. But here they're just talking about alleles, so we're down at this level. And they just tell us that that number is 0.30. Q is 0.30. Well, if you have Q, it takes like 1 second to solve for P. 1 minus 0.3 tells us that P is 0.70. In other words, if you just looked at all the chromosomes in this population and didn't care who they belonged to, you'd find 30% of those chromosomes carried the recessive allele, little l, and 70% of them were big L. So now that we have that, they're saying what would be the expected genotype frequencies? Now they're asking about this level in the next generation. Record your answers to the nearest whole percent. So we get to calculate each of these terms because they each represent a different group. Remember, P squared is double dominant. That's the flies like this. PQ is heterozygous, meaning big L, little l, and Q squared represents the recessives. I'm doing loopy L's like this because if I write this, it looks too much like a 1. So we can calculate those easy enough. P squared is 0.70 squared. 0.70 squared, which comes out to 0.49. 2pq is 2 times p is 0.70 times q is 0.30. That comes out to 0.42. And q squared is 0.30 squared, which comes out to 0.09. And if you add these up, 0.49 plus 0.42 plus 0.09, those do indeed total up to 1. That's a good sign. Now, it is acceptable to give your frequencies as a decimal number like this, between 0, meaning there's none of those, and 1, which means they're all like that. But in this case, they seem to be expecting percentages. So to convert these to percent, you just multiply by 100%. 0.49 times 100 gives us 49% of the population has big L, big L. 0.42 times 100 gives us 42%. And 0.09 times 100 gives us 9%. And if you add those up, they add up to 100%, which is exactly what we would hope for.